Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today, I am going to be covering this topic of Virgie Tovar and the whole her becoming the fat positive body image expert to work in the health department, which to me, I will say seems like a very non-actual job. It doesn't seem like a real thing. So it seems pretty astroturfed. That's what I will say, which again, Virgie Tovar describes the job as an absolute dream come true, as department yet to clarify what role she will play. This is from, I think, The Telegraph, UK or something. The Telegraph. I was just trying to get something kind of different. Trying to see. I want it to be as neutral as possible because I have stuff to say. So let's get into it. There's our girl. She can go ahead and she can accuse me of being obsessed. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. The San Francisco Department of Public Health has hired a self-described, quote, anti-weight-based discrimination, unquote, expert to consult on weight stigma and weight neutrality. Virgie Tovar, the author of You Have the Right to Remain Fat, announced her appointment on Instagram, describing the job as an absolute dream come true. Quote, I'm unbelievably proud to serve the city I've called home for almost 20 years in this way, she said. This consultancy is an absolute dream come true, and it's my biggest hope and belief that weight neutrality will be the future of public health. The phrase weight neutrality refers to an approach which concentrates on a person's overall health rather than their body weight. Ms. Tovar describes herself as a plus-size Latina author, lecturer, and leading expert on weight-based discrimination and body positivity with over a decade of experience. She is the author of several books on body image, including one called The Self-Love Revolution, which advocates radical body positivity for girls of color, as well as an erotic autobiography entitled Destination Double D. Okay. Whoa. I did not know all that. Okay, so what are my thoughts on weight neutrality? Weight neutrality is I don't think it's the best way of looking at it. If I could correct it, I would try to look at things holistically. So it's like, I don't know, I can't think of something catchy, but I would say it needs to be like weight holistically, or like holistically looking at weight. It has to be something where you look at the whole picture of health, including weight. Weight often being a sign that something is wrong, especially at super morbid obese sizes. That would be a sign that there are either physical issues or mental health issues, or a combination of the two, especially in super morbid obesity. So do I think weight neutrality would be useful for somebody who is obese? No, I don't. I think what we need to do is it needs to not be rushed. So there's a difference between, it doesn't matter that you weigh that much and you have to lose all the weight, period. It's like there's something in between. So I would advocate for something in between. It'd be like, you need to work on this weight. We need to get you into a position where you can lose the weight. You need to start working on the issues of why you're not losing the weight. It isn't good to have it, but don't rush somebody. Rushing is not typically a good thing for most people, especially from a super morbidly obese size, but even from other sizes, as you want it to be sustainable. It's better to lose the weight once and be done. So you have to kind of work through the issues as you go. And again, on my channel, I tend to look at it from a much longer term perspective. As you guys have seen on this channel, I've lost about 130 pounds of fat. I've gained some muscle. And I was just tracking my year-over-year weight, which I just shared a community post where every winter I put on a ton of water weight and I gain weight every single winter. But still, this year is 55 pounds less than last year's New Year's. So it's kind of like I was talking about how you have to look at your progress year over year, especially from supermorbid obesity, because you have fluctuation throughout the loss. And remember that weight is not always fat. It can be water too. And there's a lot of water fluctuation, especially in supermorbid obesity. So I try to say that because they try to push set point theory, but it's not exactly set point theory if you're not eating the calories to gain the weight. It's water. It can have to do with hypothyroidism, other physical issues, seasonality, all of it. So anyways, I look at it from a perspective of if you're super morbidly obese, think of it like getting a degree. It can take 3 to 4 years to get to the bottom of it, or to get out completely or to be done. Rather than, I don't really go with the approach of let's lose 200 pounds in a year. I don't really view it that way, which I'm not like against somebody doing it. If they do it and they make it work and it's healthy and whatever, I'm not here to judge. But I think for most people, it's better to think of it as I need to lose 200 pounds, 50 per year, something like that. That's probably going to be, or even in my case, year over year, 2022 to 2023, I lost 36. And then year over year for 2024 going into 2025, I lost 55. But it's still in addition. So it's like a slower process than what is typically pushed as far as a narrative, but it's sustainable and it doesn't go back up. I've never gone back up to my high of 2022, and I never will. So again, I think not rushing weight loss, but also acknowledging that the weight is an issue in and of itself, and also acknowledging that weight is a sign of other issues as well. So I do not support weight neutrality. I don't. So that's my stance on it. Okay, she is also a journalist and has recently written for Forbes about how to host a size-inclusive Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh. We'll have to look at that this year. I want to slap myself because I did not look at that last year, and I'm mad. But we'll have to look at that this year. It is unclear what role Tovar will play within the department. Sounds like a made-up job. Whether hers will be a salaried position and if the post is funded with taxpayer money. Interesting. The San Francisco Department of Public Health was approached for comment. Ms. Tovar has described herself on social media as an unapologetically fat, positive feminist who fights against the weight loss industry. Quote, I don't want Ozempic. In a video posted by Project Heal, she spoke about how medical professionals had pressured her to lose weight since she was a child and how she has grown to just trust them. Sorry. I just laughed a little bit. I really believed that this was about my health. I really believed my doctor was right, and so I was using the language of getting better, but I was actually deeply in the throes of, no, honey, you're on the other side. You're on B followed by the letter E followed by the letter D, which remember there are periods of restriction in that. But again, it's a way of gaslighting. I have to kind of hide it. It's a way of gaslighting and hiding the actual issue. Because remember, somebody who's in the throes of it, their number one thing is they do not want to stop. So remember that. People will lie about it. People will dance around it. People will say something else. They'll say they have the opposite problem. They'll say they have an addiction. They'll say it all. They'll do a whole song and dance. Whatever it is that they're going to do, they aren't going to stop. Because all of that they're doing, the song and dance, the show, all of it is so that you don't actually touch on the issue. Virgie herself, I just watched a podcast for yesterday's video. She went on this huge tirade about how weight is involved with her gender and, being a woman and all this stuff. And it's like she's just avoiding the actual problem. She's not talking about the food or the eating behaviors or anything. She's not talking about her image, her body image issues. None of it. All she's saying is, I had a horrible one, but it's good now. I don't think it's good now. I don't believe her because she's obsessed. You have to remember, part of the toxic ritualistic mindset, aka E followed by the letter D, is a over focus on the body. And that's all she talks about. That's all she does. It's still an obsession, even to the point where she was arguing in that podcast yesterday, which you guys should watch it if you hadn't. She was literally arguing that how other people viewed her as a fat woman was weighing in on the decision of if she was going to have kids or not. That is not realistic. That is like E followed by the letter D logic. That does not make sense. She wasn't saying, oh, I have physical limits because of my weight and I have to like see if I could have a kid, or I just don't want to have kids, or whatever. Even if she went on, like if she was talking about being a woman and she felt pressure to have kids or something, that still has nothing to do with weight. And to try to conflate it and put it all together into a weird thing, it's just not, it isn't giving. It's not making sense. So definitely check out that video. It's the video for yesterday if you haven't seen it. But that's honestly her level. She's not well mentally. So it's very concerning that she is going to be doing this job because she is not recovered whatsoever, in my opinion. As somebody who has suffered in that, as somebody who almost died by that, I see all the signs that she's still there. Totally. Not even close to recovered. She's gaslit herself into thinking she's recovered. She hasn't. Anyways, in July, that's my opinion. In July, she shared tips from a weight bias training course she had held for government workers designed to decrease stigma around food and bodies in the workplace. Her advice included talking less or not at all about exercise at work. Why? Because it makes her think about her body. And then part of having that toxic ritualistic, which I have a link in the description if you want to know like what I mean by that. Part of it is projection. So you project it onto everybody else. So she thinks that everybody thinks about things the way that she does. They don't. Most people hear talk about exercise and they do not get triggered or have any kind of feeling about it. But she's not aware of that. She is not, in my opinion, she's not in any position to have a job like this. She's the exact wrong person to have a job like this. It's horrible. In a further post, Ms. Tovar held up a sign which said, "I don't want Ozempic," sharing that she was offered free access to the weight loss drug but turned it down because it would not solve weight bias. This is very strange. Very, very, very strange logic. I hope you guys are seeing the E followed by the letter D there. So she's making a physical decision about Ozempic based on an emotional or social reason. So what do you think is the whole issue with E followed by the letter D? You're making a physical decision based on social or emotional reasons, typically anxiety-based. So emotions based in anxiety, social issues based in anxiety. Do you think she's nervous or anxious about weight bias? So she's doing the same thing, but it's not just food. So you can see that's a transfer of that logic to something else. I would say I personally wouldn't take it because I don't need it. I don't have diabetes. I'm pretty neutral about the drug in general, but for me personally, I don't need it. I don't have diabetes. I'm losing weight without it. It's just that simple. I don't think people need it to lose weight. That's my stance. So you could see it's physical reasons. Physical. I'm not telling you guys, I'm not taking it because I'm going to cry myself to sleep one night if I take it. or because I'm nervous about what other people will think if I take it or not. It has nothing to do with my decision. Physical reasons for a physical thing. That's my suggestion. She's not doing it. Okay. According to her website, Ms. Tovar also offers DEI corporate training days to tackle weight-based discrimination in the workplace and lists the Seattle Transit Agency and UC Berkeley among her former clients. San Francisco is thought to be among the first city health departments in America to hire a weight stigma czar. It comes after lawmakers in Massachusetts last year introduced a bill to ban weight-based discrimination. If the bill becomes law, Massachusetts will become the second state behind Michigan to prohibit discrimination based on a person's height or weight. San Francisco Department of Public Health and Ms. Tovar were approached for comment. Okay, so pretty basic stance. I appreciate the article, just kind of being factual, because then I can have my opinion, because that's what we're here for. So, what are my thoughts on this whole thing overall? First and foremost, I have talked a lot on the channel about the state of fat acceptance, that they have lost the culture. Culture has turned against them. They have failed on a individual level or on the level of society or culture. Gen Z, even a lot of millennials have left. There's still like older people that are into it, but younger people are over it. You hear it mostly now by like women in their 40s talk about it a lot. A lot of other people, we're kind of all getting over it collectively. A lot of millennials like myself kind of been burned by obesity. You know, I'm the opposite now. I'm like an anti-fat acceptance activist, right? So it's the total opposite. And I don't think Gen Z was ever all that into it, to be honest. I don't. So when I think about like trends and stuff, the culture has shifted greatly on this issue, especially since 2020. It is like night and day. But the problem is there is still an institutional push behind it. And that's what's currently happening. So you have institutions pushing fat acceptance in a public health department because people that are in institutions, they are really believing in fat acceptance and they are really going for it. So you'll find that a lot in university. You'll find it in the medical system a lot of times at this point. It's definitely taken over a lot of dietitians, for example. It doesn't make any sense. And now Virgie is in a public health department. So is this a problem? I would say absolutely it's a problem. Do you think that the guidance is going to be good? Do you think that this is going to promote a culture of health realism, weight realism, caloric realism, right? Like all these different things. Or do you think that somebody like Virgie, who's deep in the toxic ritualistic mindsets, E followed by the letter D, do you think that she's going to try to teach people who don't have that disorder to believe things like she does? Because that's what I think is going to happen. Do you think that she's going to help people that are in that disorder? Or is she just going to reinforce it greatly? Because I remember what it was like to be in it, and her words would cut deep. They cut you deep. Because if you believe in it, if you're in it, it can be reinforced greatly, especially because she's going to be seen as an authority figure over this type of thing for people who don't even have that disorder. So she's teaching people who don't have the disorder to talk to people who do and reinforce it for her. It's horrible. This is a horrible idea. I have seen that it has gotten a lot of pushback. There's been a lot of criticism of this occurring. But I want to be real with you guys. Fat acceptance is not completely dead. It might be culturally dead, but it can always come back, especially with a massive institutional push that is still occurring. And I understand that Ozempic is a thing right now, but not everybody can take it. people use it as a weapon to not lose weight. They'll use it as an excuse. Well, I can't get Ozempic, so I can't lose weight. You have to think about the rhetoric that's around that drug. It's not good. It's terrible. And I think that a lot of people put too much hope in that, which again, we need to look at it holistically. There's a lot of issues around obesity. There's a lot of stuff that's wrong. Ozempic is not a one size fits all. It's not an answer for everybody. It just isn't. And in fact, for some people, they can't tolerate the side effects. For some people, they get off of it, they gain all the weight back. I mean, I can be really negative about it to point out some of the issues with it too. And I think putting your hope, all your eggs in the Ozempic basket, it's not helpful, because what if something ends up not working with that anymore? Then you're going to have a ton of people diving into fat acceptance with an institutional push currently happening. It's important to consider this. I don't think we should have anti-FA in one basket. You need to have a lot of different baskets for a lot of different solutions for this issue. And I'm just a little bit concerned, because I think a lot of people are thinking that the battle is won, it's done, it's over. It ain't over. It's not even close to being over. This is just beginning. This is the barely beginning. But it has gotten better since 2020, but things can slide back at any time. So I'm not trying to be super negative here, but I'm just saying her getting hired for this institutional position, it is a huge sign that we're not as far ahead as we think we are, and we need to be realistic. It's still the prevailing narrative in America. It is. And I think it's really, really important that we continue the work, because, and you can't be complacent about it either. You just can't, because it's not done. It isn't done until the obesity epidemic is done. Has that happened? No. And unlike fat acceptance's unattainable goals, we have had a long time in history where the vast majority of people were not even fat. So we can get back to that, and we should. This is not healthy. We're on a highway to hell with this stuff. But take it as a reality check. We have quite a ways to go. Quite a ways to go. And again, I'm not trying to shit on Ozempic. My mom takes Ozempic. I would consider it if I had diabetes. Like, that's not really what this is about. I'm saying I don't like it being promoted as the only solution, because it isn't. You can lose weight without it. So it's really important that we have many tools in the basket and not only one. Okay, I hope that that's clear. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day, night, etc. I'll see you later. Bye.